Arsenic. For thousands of years, arsenic was one of the most widely used poisons in ancient warfare, not because armies dropped it in large quantities, but because it was easy to hide and almost impossible to detect. The ancient Chinese used arsenic compounds in smoke bombs as early as 1000 BCE, burning mixtures of arsenic sulfide to create toxic clouds that would drive enemies from fortified positions. It caused burning in the throat, fluid in the lungs, and confusion that made soldiers unable to fight. Because it occurred naturally in the earth and could be refined without much difficulty, it was available to armies across Asia, the Middle East, and eventually Europe. Aconite. Known in the ancient world as wolfsbane or monkshood, aconite came from a flowering plant found across Europe and Asia, and it was lethal in remarkably small amounts. Ancient armies used it to poison water supplies and coat the tips of arrows and spears. The plant contains alkaloids that attack the nervous system almost immediately after contact, causing numbness, paralysis of the heart, and death within hours. Greek and Roman sources describe its use in assassinations as well as open warfare, and there are accounts from ancient India where it was applied to war arrows by boiling the roots down into a concentrated paste. Hellebore. The ancient Greeks were familiar with hellebore long before they weaponized it, using it medicinally in small doses. But during the First Sacred War around 590 BCE, it was reportedly used to poison the water supply of the city of Kira by contaminating the aqueduct that fed into it. The defenders became so severely ill with violent diarrhea, vomiting, and muscle failure that they could not defend the walls. Whether every detail of that account is accurate is debated, but the basic tactic was real. Hellebore contains compounds that cause rapid cardiac disruption. Deadly nightshade. Atropa belladonna, the plant known as deadly nightshade, was found across Europe and Western Asia, and its berries and leaves contain atropine and scopolamine, substances that interfere with the nervous system in profound ways. Ancient armies used extracts from nightshade to poison food stores left behind during retreats, knowing that pursuing soldiers would consume them. The effects included intense hallucinations, disorientation, racing heart, and in higher doses, complete collapse. There are accounts from Roman military campaigns where soldiers pursuing a retreating force consumed contaminated food and became so confused they were easily killed or captured. Mercury Compounds. The ancient Chinese and later civilizations in the Middle East worked extensively with mercury and its compounds, including cinnabar, which is mercury sulfide. When burned, cinnabar releases mercury vapor, and armies used this in enclosed siege situations, burning it in tunnels or beneath fortified walls to incapacitate those inside. Mercury vapor attacks the lungs and brain, causing tremors, confusion, and eventually respiratory failure. The Chinese military text known as the 100 Unorthodox Strategies references the use of toxic smokes in tunnel warfare, and mercury-based substances were among the materials used. Sulfur fumes. Sulfur itself is ancient, and its use as a weapon predates most recorded history. When burned, sulfur produces sulfur dioxide, a gas that irritates the lungs severely and can suffocate in an enclosed space. During the Peloponnesian War in the 5th century BCE, Spartan forces burned mixtures of wood, pitch, and sulfur beneath the walls of cities they were besieging, directing the fumes through gaps and tunnels toward defenders. Cantharidin. Cantharidin comes from the blister beetle, a small insect found across southern Europe, North Africa, and Asia. The ancient Egyptians and later the Greeks and Romans knew that crushing these beetles produced a substance that caused severe blistering on the skin and, when ingested, destroyed the kidneys and urinary tract. It was used in warfare primarily through food and water contamination. Because it had no smell and dissolved easily, it was very difficult to detect. Even small amounts could cause internal bleeding and organ failure within days, though the evidence is fragmentary.